Ready for a passion-filled lecture about our banking system and inflation? Oh boy, you're already on your tippy toes with excitement, I can tell. Well, sit down because this train just left the station. Alright, you just earned some cash. What do? Why, you deposit in your bank account, of course, just like millions of other people. Alright, so you see the money in your bank account now. To you, that's basically the end of the story. But to the banks, it's just the beginning. So I'm sure you all know that banks are very profitable and rich and stuff, but how do they actually make money? I mean, the money everybody deposits in their bank accounts doesn't belong to the banks. It's yours, right? Well, the banks make money from interest. Let's say someone wants to buy a house. Where do they go for a loan? The bank. How does the bank have enough money to loan someone for a house? Well, here's the sneaky part. The bank doesn't actually hold everybody's money one to one. So, what's the ratio? It's probably like 90%, right? Well, it's actually closer to 10%. That's right, the bank only holds around 10% of people's money in their reserves. And the other 90% they borrow from you just to give people loans. You might think that's absolutely crazy, but realistically, most people just keep their savings in their bank account. It's not like every single person who has money in the bank will just go withdraw it all in one afternoon. So believe it or not, this method that banks use is actually very smart and good for the economy. Anyway, I want to get back to my loan example. So the bank borrows money from everyone to lend out to this guy that wants to buy a house. The big house loan is called a mortgage. I'm sure you all already know that. Anyway, now this guy needs to go pay back the money that the bank just lent him with interest. I mean, they're not just going to lend him the money for free. Just like you make around a 10% return per year from your investments in the stock market, the banks make around a 6% return each year from their mortgages. If that doesn't seem like a big return, keep in mind that mortgages are usually a pretty safe investment for banks because people always prioritize paying it off, or else their life is basically ruined. And they have millions of mortgages active, generating them huge cumulative returns from the interest that everybody's paying on it. They also make huge monthly interest returns from people not paying off their credit cards, since they charge like 28% effective annual interest rates on that. Wow. Can I just say, I love sounding smart by saying that. I mean, 28% effective annual interest rates? It's almost like I'm currently pursuing an MBA or something. Don't worry, I'll make next week's bonus episode about understanding interest rates, since it's always good to know so you don't get taken advantage of whenever you take out loans in the future. Anyway, the banks are making this money from loans and mortgages by borrowing your money. And boy do they get rich off of it. But don't worry, I mean, they give you something in return. They're not monsters. To pay you back for letting them borrow your money, and to reward you for keeping money in your bank account, they pay you a generous 0.01% to 0.05% annual percentage yield of interest. So if you have $10,000 in your bank account, each year the bank is spoiling you with a generous $1 in interest. Well, can't complain about free money, I guess. Except you can. Time to enter stage 2 of today's episode. Your money is slowly Your money is slowly losing value. A dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow is the core lesson of finance. And a big part of that is inflation. It's actually a pretty simple concept to grasp, I think. Money is worth less the more money that's created. Imagine you found a pretty shell on the beach. You pick it up because it looks cool, and then you keep walking down the beach and you find more and more, and eventually there's a huge pile of them. That original shell you picked up seems to have lost value, huh? Not as important, not as special. Same with money. So now you can finally understand this clip.
Hello, America. Each and every one of you get $1 billion each, so you can all be rich.
Whoa, what are you doing? You can't do that. You'll crash the economy.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Everybody's gonna have to give back all that money to the government.
Dude, check the news. It doesn't matter what channel.
New money is created for several reasons, like keeping the economy growing as populations and businesses expand, and other reasons I don't want to talk about right now. Now, honestly, inflation isn't all bad. Federal Reserves try to make inflation increase by around 2% a year. This ever-decreasing value of money encourages people to subconsciously spend it while it's still worth more, which is kind of the baseline for our entire economy. So let's assume inflation is now 2% each year forever. Inflation is equivalent to evil investing. Every dollar that's in your possession inevitably loses 2% of its value every single year. You don't actually see the number amount in your dollar decrease. It's an invisible decrease. Unfortunately, that means that your 10% you're you're making in the stock market each year is realistically only around 8%, because 2% of that is sacrificed to the steady crawl of inflation. But that should actually do the opposite of discourage you. Because imagine if you didn't invest. You'd just be losing a flat 2% on everything each year with no way to fight back against it. Remember, keeping your money in the bank only generates you a 0.01% interest rate, so you are not beating inflation that way. Alright, time to bring it all back to the title of the video. People think investing is risky, when really, doing nothing with your money but letting it sit in your bank account is far riskier, and stupider. You're literally bleeding money and never coagulating. It's simple biology. I mean, the banks just want you to keep all your money just sitting around in your bank account so they can lend it out to people and make big returns while you get slapped in the face with inflation and your money dies. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I sure did. Remember, the riskiest thing you can do with your money is not invest. See you next time.